Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hi, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, Hunter, welcome back to the Baseball Hut 3, and hopefully you like this video, and hit that subscribe button. So here talking about the YES Network. You know the YES Network, the place where they broadcast the Yankee games. Been doing it there since 2002. So for the last 25 years, we've been sort of having to deal with Michael Kay. Not that I care, I'm a Met fan, but I do listen, watch, their broadcast when there's nothing else on, because I can't get enough baseball. But they've had Michael Kay there, Michael not okay. They have a cavalcade of analysts. I wonder why Michael's not so okay, because he never knows who he's going to be working with, But he got an article from Barrett Media. They basically let people know what's going on there. And this is the channel for the media, talk about the media, so it's going to be about baseball, the NFL, basketball, and actually I'm going to do a video on MMA fighting for Thursday. Headline, YES Network reportedly using two play-by-play voices for the Yankees broadcast. Michael Not Okay returns to lead play-by-play voice, backed up by Ryan Ruocco, while David Cohn, Paul O'Neill, and Joe Girardi rotate as analysts. The YES Network is heading into the 2026 season with a noticeably streamlined Yankees broadcast booth. According to a report by Newsday, the network has taken a different approach behind the microphone, significantly narrowing the number of voices calling games compared to last year's rotation in the last 25 years. Cavalcade is like clown car. During the 2025 season, YES utilized 4 different play-by-play announcers, and 6 analysts, creating a booth that shifted frequently depending on scheduling, availability, and other assignments. 4 play-by-play guys. Wow. That's new. That revolving door approach will give way to a more defined structure in 2026 as Michael Kay returns as the lead play-by-play man, backed up by Ryan Ruocco, while David Cohn, Paul O'Neill, and Joe Girardi will rotate as analysts. Meredith Marakovitz, who I don't like, I always liked Kim Jones myself, remains in her role as the network's clubhouse reporter. She, by the way, Kim Jones, is, if I think about it, she's the first sideline reporter, the first clubhouse reporter. Because that YES Network's the first to have them on the side. I think she's probably the best of all time. She doesn't do it anymore, but I always thought that she was probably the best. Better than Steve Gelbs. Steve Gelbs can be annoying. And of course, Kevin Burkhardt was a disaster. He was a jinx for us Met fans. He's always reporting on collapses, injuries. And I knew the Mets were going to lose the World Series in 2015 because he was doing the pre-game and post-game for the Fox Sports Network. So I knew that the Mets were in trouble just due to the fact that he was going to do those games. And if you notice, they played poorly. He's a jinx, a super jinx. As an aside. But like I said, Kim Jones, I think, was the best that did it, to be honest with you. YES Network executive producer and vice president of productions, Jared Boshnak, told Newsday the decision focused on viewer continuity. He said many fans structure their routines around nightly baseball broadcasts. Boshnak explained that baseball's rhythm favors familiar voices and steady presentation. That's right. That consistency matters, especially for fans who watch after work or set aside weekend time to follow the club. I mean, they always talk about these voices. That you're like the voice of my summer. They talk about guys on the radio or guys on TV. They always said that about Bob Murphy was the voice of my summers. Just use him as an example. Tim McCarver. Last season, John Flaherty, Todd Frazier, and Jeff Nelson served as analysts at various points, while Flaherty and Justin Shackhill also handled play-by-play duties. Flaherty and Nelson will not return to the booth this year, though Shackhill and Frazier remain part of the network's pregame, postgame programming lineup. Kay, who enters his 25th season with YES, is expected to call between 85 to 90% of regular season games, further reinforcing the network's emphasis on stability at the top of the broadcast. He and David Cohn are slated to call the network's first spring training telecast Saturday when the Yankees host the Detroit Tigers. But yes, the philosophy entering 2026 is straightforward, fewer voices, clear identity, and a booth designed to feel as familiar as the daily cadence of baseball itself. That's the one thing that bothers me, just as a fan of another team, is that you turn on the broadcast at times and it's like, well, Michael Kay's not there. Michael Not Okay is there, and then you're like, who's these other people? I mean, you know David Cohn's voice, you know Paul O'Neill's voice, and of course you know the other guy's voice, you know, Joe Girardi to a lesser extent. You know, that's the one thing that we have here with the Mets, is that we always know who's going to do the games. Gary Cohn's doing the games. We don't really have a backup. I guess Steve Gelb's is now the backup, I guess. But Keith and Ron Darling are the guys that do the analyzing, and that's what we have. And we know that Keith is going to do fewer games this year. He's going to do 90 games. And it seems that Daniel Murphy is going to be taking more of a role in the games. He seems to be very promising as an analyst. You can't just be nuts and bolts. You got to sort of be entertaining. Because you're trying to entertain people for 2-3 hours. But I will give you sort of a hint. Watching the MLB Network, the worst broadcast that I've heard over the years was always the Tigers. The Tigers were always the most boring, dreary broadcasts. Most of the broadcasts are okay, other than the Phillies broadcast. The Phillies broadcast is just, if the Mets are on the board, it's always these snarky comments about the Mets. Very much obsessed with the Mets and their fans, which is strange to see, just from what I've seen over the years with their broadcasts. If you don't watch the other broadcasts, I've watched so many games on the MLB Network. Those are the things that I've observed. And it's very quiet in Toronto. So one thing I always noticed during the regular season, how quiet it is there. During the postseason, it's insane. You can't shut them up. But during the season, it's like a church. You know, it's so quiet. And of course, we got the best broadcast in baseball with the Mets. I know the San Francisco Giants have a great broadcast, but we don't like Mike Krukow because he was always a Met killer. You know, but you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, I'll have more stuff on the YES Network and what's going on, not only with the broadcast but also with Michael Not Okay and all his crazy antics on ESPN. And thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later.